Hi, today's December 5th, and we're going to be doing a lesson in algebra today on writing equations in slope-intercept form. And so if you want to follow along in your book, we're going to be doing some of the guided practice questions out of your math book to go along with this lesson. Let's go ahead. Here's your math book. It looks like this. It's also on your Connect Ed ebook. If you simply want to just follow along as I go through these examples, that's fine too. This is on page 216. And we have questions 1A and 1B at the bottom of the page. And so we want to write equations in a special form. These are linear equations. And we want them to be in the form y equals mx plus b. Okay, so these are equations with two variables, so y and an x. The m represents your slope, and b represents your y-intercept. And the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is 1a. This is on page, again, 216. So in your book, it gives you a slope of -1/2, and it gives you a y-intercept of 3. The only thing they're wanting you to do here is put the numbers in the right spot into the equation. So to write your equation, you'd have y equals -1/2 x plus 3. All right, so this is an equation to a line that has a slope of -1/2 and crosses the y-axis at 3. Okay, we'll practice looking at the graphs here in a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead to the next one. Example 2 here, or it's 1b in your book. 1b. You have a slope of -3 and a y-intercept that is equal to -8. So you would use your formula, y equals mx plus b. Okay, and so then you replace the slope, which is m, with a -3, and you replace the b with -8. If your b is negative, you can rewrite that as -8. Okay, so that's your answer. Y equals -3x minus 8. Okay. Now in question 2, it says graph each equation. So this is 2a, and I'm on the next page, page 217. In your books, this is 2a. And the equation is 3x minus 4y equals 12. Now what we'd like to see you do with this equation, you could always make an xy table if you're stuck, but in this lesson we're trying to solve them using the slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and subtract 3x from both sides. We have -4y equals -3x plus 12. Those are unlike terms, so you can't combine them. And then you divide everything by -4 on both sides of your equation. So y equals -3 over -4. That's a positive 3/4 x. And 12 divided by -4 would be -3. So here's your equation in slope-intercept form. Now the solution to this is all the points that are on the line. So this is the equation, and the solution would be all the points that are on the line to this equation. So the -3 tells us that that's our y-intercept. The line's going to cross at -3. And the slope tells us how steep the line is. So rise over run. So from that point, we count up 3. 1, 2, 3, and over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you can do it more than once. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of helps you make sure you get your points in a straight line. Okay, so this is the graph. This is the graph to this equation that's written in slope-intercept form. Okay, 2b. Okay, in problem 2b, we have -2x plus 5y equals 10. Okay, again, we're going to solve the equation for y. So right now you see 2x added to both sides, or subtracted from the side of the equation, so we're going to add 2x to both sides. We have 5y equals 2x plus 10. And then to get y by itself, we'll divide both sides by 5. So y equals 2/5 x. Leave that slope as a fraction. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So this equation, when you rewrite it, so this equation that we started with and this equation that I circled are both the same equation. This is standard form, this is slope-intercept form. And this form is good for being able to graph an equation. So we're going to put a point at 2. We're going to have a slope of 2/5. So from that point, you count up to 1, 2, and over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you draw a line through it. Okay. So up to and over 5. This line represents every solution to that equation. Okay, so on the same page, 217, there's two more examples on here, 3a and 3b. So let's go ahead and clear this page, and let's use this, 3a, and we have y equals 5. So we want the place on this graph where all the y values are equal to 5. So you go to the y-axis, you find a point at 5, and see all of these points here would be 5 along this horizontal line. So you draw a horizontal line, that's a graph to y equals 5. Okay, and the last one that we're going to do today is 3b. And 3b is the equation 2y equals 1. So this is almost solved for y. You have one step, you got to get y by itself. So divide by 2. So y equals a half. So on your graph, you go to the y-axis again, but you only go up a half. So it's supposed to be halfway between 0 and 1 there. You'd have a line at y equals 1/2. Okay, and so this is how you graph equations in slope-intercept form.